Hey fellow music fans, welcome back to Psychology of Rock, where we look into the philosophy and psychology behind the songs and artists that rocked the world. My name is Nina, and today we are diving deep into the psychological underpinnings of Blue Öyster Cult's Don't Fear the Reaper. I'm going to start by talking about the meaning of the song according to the songwriter as well as his inspiration for writing it, and then I'm going to take it deeper and discuss the psychological theory and concept that I feel that this song is truly exemplifying. And by doing so, I think it can help us to both understand and appreciate the song on a much more personal level. But first, if you're new here, don't forget to subscribe. And also, I would love to hear if you agree with this analysis, so please feel free to leave your thoughts in the comment section below. Also, just a quick reminder that the analysis is purely speculative and based on my own opinion. And with that being said, let's go ahead and get started. So starting from the beginning, Don't Fear the Reaper was written and sung by Blue Öyster Cult's lead guitarist Buck Dharma and released in 1976. Not only was this song a hit at the time, but it still remains popular to this day and has strongly influenced pop culture. It was the inspiration for the iconic SNL skit as well as for Stephen King's novel The Stand. In addition, it also holds a place on Rolling Stone's list of the top 500 songs of all time. I have always loved this song. I think both musically and lyrically it is very unique and interesting, and it features one of my favorite guitar solos of all time. But I also think that this is a song that has been often both misunderstood and misinterpreted. The songwriter emphatically explains that the song is not about any of these sinister things that have been suggested, and that it is certainly not about advocating someone taking their own life. Buck said it's actually a love song that's trying to reassure the listener that even when we do pass away and leave the earth, that our journey is still going to continue. He said the song simply addresses the inevitability of death and the foolishness of fearing that. He said the song was inspired by his diagnosis of an irregular heart condition that got him contemplating his own mortality and the possibility that he himself may die young. Now, of course, that did not happen. He's been able to successfully manage the condition, but he did say it changed the way he saw the world, and that he came to the conclusion that when we do pass, our spirit survives the death somehow. He also mentioned that he feels that it was the line about Romeo and Juliet that really confused people, because we all know how that Shakespeare tragedy ends, but that he merely meant it to be an example of an eternal love that could continue on in the afterlife, and that the song itself was meant to be uplifting. Now, this song is a masterpiece on many levels, but I also think that it is a great example of a psychological concept, or really psychological conflict, called mortality salience, that human beings must resolve in their lifetime. So what exactly does this term mean? Well, mortality salience is simply the awareness of the inevitability of one's own death. This is a concept that comes from terror management theory that proposes that this awareness causes existential anxiety because it engages the conflict of knowing intellectually that trying to avoid eventual death is futile, yet still, of course, wanting to avoid it. It can also inspire worry that the lives we are currently living are not that significant and lead us to look for deeper meaning. Mortality salience can be triggered by an accident, an illness or a medical condition, the passing of a loved one, a natural disaster, or even just the realization that we are getting older. So how then can people resolve this and move on with their lives? Well, it really involves them being able to adapt to it in some way. And for many people, they become driven to adopt worldviews that help assure them that they will live on in some way, even just symbolically, after they pass. So they may find comfort in the belief in an afterlife where they feel that their journey will continue. I think this is what we distinctly see in the lyrics of Don't Fear the Reaper. And other people tend to start working on projects that they feel will help them to leave a legacy and therefore be immortal in some way. Other individuals may find that they have a heightened desire to live a life that is more moral, which is something I discuss in great detail in the video I just made about Peter Steele. I will go ahead and link that down in the description box. He is a very, very interesting person to study. But also, other people may cope by simply engaging in more activities that they find to be truly meaningful, which can include starting a family or connecting more strongly with their own cultural group. Mortality salience is also highly manipulated by one's own self-esteem. So individuals with lower self-esteem are more apt to feel negative effects from this type of anxiety, whereas individuals with higher self-esteem tend to be able to better cope with the idea of their eventual death. But again, according to this theory, it is a conflict that we must overcome and resolve, or else we may end up becoming psychologically driven by fear, which is why I think Don't Fear the Reaper is such a prime example, not only of this human conflict, but also a great demonstration of how an individual was able to overcome it. And because mortality salience is really a struggle that is shared by mankind, I think it may have something to do with the overall popularity of the song, because so many people can connect with it. So those are my thoughts on Don't Fear the Reaper, but I would love to hear yours, so please leave a comment below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and I will see you next week.